Hi, my name is Priscilla Ponsa, and this is my personal response to Carrie, the 1979 movie.
So what do you think of Carrie as a horror film?
I personally didn't see Carrie to be like a horror movie because with me, I'm such a scaredy cat. So like when I'm watching movies, I tend to be like, ah, woo! Like I get scared. But in terms of Carrie, I think it was such a slow pace. So even though you had like the girls bullying her at the start, everything for me felt like slow. So the only element of like horror that you actually saw was at the end, at the prom scene, where she basically kills everybody. Like she destroys society in a sense. That's the only sense of horror that you see. Or when and the fact that she killed her mum. I think that's the only sort of like sinister, menacing like element of horror that you can actually see.
Who would you say the target audience for this film is?
I personally think that the target audience is teenagers like myself. Just simply because you have like the bitchy gals, and it's like kind of shows that it shows that like teenagers, like in terms of girls, like if you don't look a certain way or if you don't speak in a certain way, it's like you're classified as an outcast. Which Carrie, because of the way she looks physically, and I think the way she speaks as well, so automatically she's kind of viewed as the outsider. So therefore, she's not allowed in the little crowd. So I think girls in here are more like portrayed or seen to be like bitchy and unloving or uncaring. So because even if she had her period, even though she wasn't her period, they didn't like tell her what it was about. Like the fact that because Carrie thought she was dying because she saw blood. So I think girls there are like just not very loving. Yeah.
Do you think the film has elements of the male gaze?
I think the only sort of like element of male gaze is at the beginning. Yes, actually, in the shower scene when Carrie is getting undressed, she's having a shower. So from this, like everything's kind of like slow motion. So you have girls like rubbing themselves and talking in the shower room. So I think in a sense, and there's more focus on like let's say the boobs and the body, so outlines the figure, like. So I think because it's viewed from like the men's perspective, because the director is actually a man who filmed it, so everything's like filmed from his perspective. So hence why like the slow motion and the naked women are seen, because that's not a true reflection of how like women's changing rooms are. Because I'm a woman or a girl, anyways, and in terms of the changing room, we're not naked like that. But yeah, I think the shower scene is where like the male gaze is used, and I think also the prom scene, because the prom scene where her dress is literally like this similar colour to her skin tone, it almost looks like she's naked, and the fact that it's low cut, so it kind of draws your attention more to like her breast and her body because you think she's naked. So I think in a sense, linking back to the target audience, it can also be argued that it's like the target audience for some aspects is for like men because of like how women are portrayed.
How are women portrayed in Carrie?
I think women, it's not a true reflection of women. For example, Carrie's mum, she's shown not to be loving because of the fact that like, I think the reason why she's shown to be like that is just the fact that she doesn't like have that affection from her husband, because in the movie we never see if she actually has a husband or was once like had a boyfriend. Obviously we know she had a boyfriend, but we don't know if she was once married, so maybe that may have an impact as to why she treats Carrie, because she never received that love, so therefore it's kind of hard for her to show the love towards Carrie. So yeah, and I think an example of this would be like when Carrie first has her period and she's looking for comfort in her mum. Her mum kind of like tells her like, go to your room and pray. It's kind of like sinister, like undertone, and like no loving mother, if one starts their period, will tell you they have to go to a room to pray because you've sinned, which is something that it should be. Period is something that's fertility, similar to fertility in women, but here it's shown to be like more on the darker side. So period it's not shown to be like reproductive, showing the reproductive system. It's just more shown to be like something that's like an outcast, something they shouldn't be doing, or yeah. So I think that's how, in terms of Carrie's mum, that's how she portrayed. And I think overall, like Carrie's a typical example of women. I think she's kind of portrayed to be like weaker, which is conventional, or some like horror movies, because the woman is like the victim who needs saving, even though here there isn't any man who saves her. But I think Carrie is an example of like who's shown to be like weaker. character, like a weaker woman.
And how are teenagers portrayed in Carrie?
I think I kind of pretty much said this before. I think just the fact that teenagers are portrayed to be like mean towards each other. Like, bitchy, for example, Chris, even though like she was being rude to Carrie, and the PE teacher decides to discipline her, she doesn't understand what she done was wrong, so she kind of takes revenge, like on a further scale, by like the fact that she pours blood on Carrie's body, or Carrie kind of shows that she's, I don't know what to say, that she's like mean. I don't know.
Wants revenge.
Yeah, she just wants revenge, so that she doesn't really think about others but herself, because it's showing selfish element, because she doesn't. Even though she knows that she shouldn't have done whatever she done to Carrie, she's still done it. So it's like she just wants revenge. That's the only thing that she wants to do, is just revenge.
And how was religious imagery used in Carrie?
In terms of religious elements, the only ones that there were when Carrie first has her period, and her mum just, like I said, her mum just thinks of it as a sin. And when the way her mum dies as well, that's religious imagery as well, because her mum dies like when Jesus died on the cross. But we know from my previous analysis of Carrie that it's actually not Jesus on the cross, where it showed when Carrie's mum was died, and then it showed her like on the cross, like her head tilted, and then it showed like a supposedly image of Jesus on a cross and had the light coming through. That wasn't actually Jesus, that was actually Saint Sebastian. So I think it's just, it keeps going back to religious reference, because the mum symbolises religious imagery, because she's supposed to be like holy and stuff, but yet she wears like black cape, which is quite contradictory, because if you think about holiness, it's to do with like white purity, holiness, but here she's wearing like a black cape and her hair's down. So I think her mum doesn't really portray like a true Christian, like, because obviously again the Bible says that love your neighbour as yourself, and she doesn't even love her daughter, who she's supposed to like love in the world, but she doesn't love her daughter. So I think that's one of the, I think her mum is just the only person that kind of shows like religious imagery within Carrie.
What do you think of the new Carrie trailer?
The new Carrie trailer was really good. When I watched it, I was so excited. I was just like, oh my god, I really want to watch it. Yeah, I think it's more to do with that one. I think it kind of shows the horror element. Like, even the way her mum is presented. Like here, when her mum, like, for example, says, oh, go to your room and pray. The way she says it, like, it has a really dark undertone, and she's locked in a cupboard where it's completely dark. But whereas in the Carrie previously, it didn't have that. It wasn't like completely dark. But here, in that one, it showed that she was completely dark, alone, again, showing that she's isolated against, even with her own mum and society, that she's like an outcast. What else did I like about it, actually? I think just the storyline's much more clearer. So it kind of like consistent. But I feel like, in terms of Carrie, the older one, it wasn't that clear, I think, for some bits of it, because I personally didn't understand the whole changing room and the girls getting naked, and you know the PE teacher running across the camera with no bra on and stuff. So I don't think there was much more male gaze within the new Carrie trailer. So yeah. And
would you recommend Carrie?
I would recommend Carrie to watch it, because I think it's really, really good. Well, in terms of the old and the new one, actually. Because the old one, it kind of shows you how horror movies has kind of changed throughout, like, generation or the time period. Because during the older time, it was more like supernatural, which someone could argue that with the whole element of religion is supernatural, because no one can actually see God. Yeah, and, what was the question?
Would you recommend Carrie?
Yeah, I would recommend Carrie. Let's just go watch it.